Welcome back, and now for part 2. But first, a word from our sponsors. Who's this cute little guy?
It's my Drac Spookling Bat plushie from Love Pollution, made by Daisy.
Can I play with him?
No, Drac is still very shy and only likes me to cuddle him. Perhaps when he gets a little older, if you do some really good minioning.
I'll be gentle and careful.
Dear simple minion, I must say no. You are not versed in the ways of Love Pollution bats.
Well, I really want one. Look at how well made it is.
Every single item is handmade from the best quality materials. They're like special memories. Daisy has an array of other special products too.
I'm looking on the site and there are so many cool products. Drew, they have one here called Scooby Dru Bat. Oh, and this one, Halloween Spookling Bat. Oh, I want to get this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Come, Dracky Bat. Our work here is done. Let me introduce you to Miss Edith.
The website is lovepollution.com. Our listeners get 10% off with the code REVAMP10. All caps, no dashes, no spaces. REVAMP 10. Ted finds Joyce. Her first thought is that they have to tell Buffy because Buffy's been feeling so horrible about what happened. With distance, not being under his thrall and not being drugged, Joyce thinks of Buffy first. This is important to the balance of the show to reestablish Joyce as a good mom, one who is human and makes mistakes, but not one who is willing to sacrifice her own daughter, which so often does happen in abusive homes.
Ritter is insidious when he refers to himself as daddy. It truly gives me the creeps.
It's really icky and sinister the way he does it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he begins to malfunction again, but this time with Joyce. And he explains he's not wired to take orders from women. It's so circa 1950s.
How should Joyce have known she was falling for a robot?
How?
She felt a little spark. He. Why did Ted go to the shoe shop? I don't think that to get rebooted. He. Why couldn't he pay for the boots? He spent all his cash, spelled C-A-C-H-E, cash. He.
Oh, man. When Buffy hits Ted with the frying pan, his robotic face is revealed. The frying pan is an instrument Ted used for his misdeeds. Buffy is claiming it herself, claiming her house and her relationship with her mother.
What do you call a robot who can type a lot of words a minute? A prototype. He. What's a robot's favorite food?
What?
Microchips. He. How does a robot eat them?
How?
In megabytes.
Oh,
God. Drew's delicious, I guess. Ted glitches and asks to play Parcheesi. Parcheesi is an American adaptation of an Indian cross and circle board game which was trademarked in the U.S. in 1874. Games Magazine included Parcheesi in their top 100 games of 1980. I didn't realize it was so popular then. Have you ever played?
You know what? I actually haven't. It was one of those games that was always at everyone's house, but I never actually played it. Buffy hits him again with the same frying pan that he's made the pizzas in, and he is literally fried. It's always good to keep a cast iron skillet.
He's literally fried. He frizzes out. It's Void the android.
That's one way of putting it.
What's the music that should be played at Ted's funeral?
What?
Heavy metal. He. What was his favourite pastime besides cooking and miniature golf? Circuit training. He.
Oh.
That has Sid written all over it.
Yes, Drew Sidalicious.
I think it's more Drew Sid malicious. All right, I take it back. Although, it's nowhere near as nasty as you are to me.
What?
Nothing. You guys want to know something funny?
What?
For some reason, when I was making notes for this episode, the font that kept coming up was Roboto, which it usually doesn't. That's weird, right?
Maybe Ted got into the computers.
And glitched it all crazy.
He wants to make it about himself.
That's fantastic. Oh.
In the final fight between Buffy and Ted, both actors were ill. Sarah had the flu and John was suffering from food poisoning. It must not have been loads of fun that day on set.
John's meal had a plot twist he wasn't expecting.
Plot twist? Okay, let's talk about how the plot twists in this episode reveal additional important themes. Often the warrior's journey can be about the need to metaphorically kill the parent. To step into one's own power also involves a symbolic death of the dependent child or one's past identity. It's about moving from reliance to self-sufficiency, embracing responsibility and defining one's own path. In fables and fairy tales, the step-parent is often evil. These figures are depicted as jealous, competitive, and suppressive. I believe the step-parent is used because it's safer to explore these themes with someone who is not a blood relative. They represent the parental figure in a societally palatable way. Anyone who comes from parents like this knows that our culture treats shedding light on this familiar behavior and dynamic as radical. Buffy needing to kill the evil boyfriend, in essence the step-parent or the unwanted father figure, is a universal theme. The series uses the dark forces, the supernatural, fantasy to delve into these very real life issues. The fact that the blended family dynamic, which is something many children experience, is shown without supernatural elements at first, grounds the initial part of the episode in real-life conflict. The structure is masterful.
Ritter's Ted is also a master of manipulation.
He is. Evil step-parents appear very early in text. The first clear literary example of an evil stepmother appears with Hagar in the Bible, Genesis. By the 2nd century BCE, Roman playwright Plautus referenced the evil stepmother as a known trope, indicating it was a familiar concept in popular culture. Classic fairy tales and fables include Cinderella, in which the cruel stepmother forces Cinderella into servitude and tries to stop her from marrying the prince. Snow White, in which the queen, obsessed with being the fairest of them all, tries to murder Snow White with a poisoned apple. Hansel and Gretel, in which the stepmother convinces the father to abandon the children in the woods, though in some versions she's a witch. BBC features correspondent Ali Francis makes 3 interesting points. 1, there are more than 900 international stories written about nefarious stepmothers throughout the centuries. 2, the bias against them is woven into our language. Step evolved from the Old English steop, which evokes a sense of loss and deprivation. And 3, stories which include violence often involve stepfathers.
I want to mention a few movies too. Captain Vidal in Pan's Labyrinth is a brutal stepfather figure representing fascist evil, not just a fairy tale archetype, but a real-world horror. In This Boy's Life, Robert De Niro plays an abusive stepfather to Leonardo DiCaprio. Some other films include The Stepfather, The Lodge, Domestic Disturbance with John Travolta, and Rob Zombie's Halloween. There are plenty of films showing abusive stepmothers too, like Elizabeth Banks in The Uninvited, and Charlize Theron in Snow White and the Huntsman.
In Cruel Intentions, there's a step-sister figure who manipulates and destroys others. Movies with robots is a whole other category. We've already mentioned the Stepford Wives. Other projects with robots include the Terminator films, the Matrix films, Blade Runner, I, Robot, which was based on the 1950 collection of sci-fi stories by Isaac Asimov, Westworld, RoboCop, Transformers, among others. John Ritter said that playing Ted influenced his understanding of his own stepdaughter.
Coming into someone's life if their parents have divorced is a delicate road to walk. If I'm seeing someone that has children, I make sure to wait a good amount of time before getting introduced to them. I want to respect their boundaries, let them sit with the idea of someone new coming around, and then meet them once there's an understanding that'll remain some part of their life no matter what.
That is such an intelligent, thoughtful way to proceed.
I think you have to be careful with kids.
Yeah.
And even if everything works out well, but for some reason the relationship doesn't last, you don't want the kids to feel abandoned in the process. Yeah.
This is one of the things that I love about being an actor and a storyteller. Learning projects do permeate. I love soaking up info. Most roles and scripts make me think about real life application. The thing with sci-fi and fantasy is those real life applications sneak up on you. So I think they often permeate even more. Often if we feel like we're being, in essence, lectured to, our defenses go up. I like that. I think I'm going to call sci-fi sneaky-fi from now on. Sneaky-fi. I like that. Ted feels like a prototype of the mayor, a charming, straight-talking symbol of patriarchal Americana. Even their dialogue is similar. Ted says, quote, "Well, you know, little lady, it's not just for looks, it's for building strong bodies." In Enemies, the mayor says, quote, "Drink up. There's nothing uncool about healthy teeth and bones." Also, adults preying on children has been a theme throughout the series. In season 1, we had the praying mantis teacher, the bad coach, the zookeeper, and now in season 2, Ted, who's not only preying on Joyce, but also on Buffy. Principal Snyder is an adult who is okay with kids being casualties. The mayor will be too. Giles and Joyce, who has now been restored to her usual nature, are the good, caring, empathic parental figures. But this brings up another point that makes Buffy poignant and relatable. Nothing is black and white. This has been part of Buffy's journey growing up, learning and accepting that humans are flawed. Giles's past, which was recently revealed, is not something he's proud of. It's not something that has been easy for the gang to accept. Joyce had been willing to believe Ted over her daughter. Thank goodness this was extremely short-lived in this fictional universe, and thank goodness Buffy is the Slayer, so she has supernatural powers and strength. A parent choosing not to believe a child not only compounds the abuse, it can be even more damaging. This itself is abuse, since the main role of a parent is to protect their child and keep them safe. It is not okay to be willing to look the other way. In this story arc, drugs were used, but people themselves can be like a drug. They engage in what's called love bombing, present themselves as loving, caring, and very romantic. Then, as those behaviors are stripped away, the victim continually tries to chase that high. It's, let's just get back to when it was great. Let's get back to this great period. But really, the great period was actually a construct, a fiction, and not genuine to begin with.
Near the end, Joyce asked Buffy to rent a movie without horror, romance, or men.
They mentioned Thelma and Louise, which is about abuse and about females not standing for it and claiming their power. Although Thelma and Louise drive off the cliff and die at the end.
Joyce never knows Ted was a robot. Buffy says he's on the scrap heap.
Well, you know what I say about Ted?
What?
Rust in peace. He. That's Dru Sid Capricious.
Okay, we'll go with that. We find out that Ted's wife dumped him. When he was dying, he built Robot Ted and held his wife hostage until she died. He was an abuser with a pattern of moving in on vulnerable women, exploiting them and killing them. Joyce expressed her vulnerability, talking about how little choice she has romantically as a single parent, which made her a target. Do you want to say it?
Spoiler alert.
This is a big one. So if you haven't watched the show yet, plug your ears. Ted is another monster boyfriend this season who metaphorically represents Angelus, looming in the background of the whole season. He's ready to emerge as the ultimate abusive boyfriend. Like a vampire, Ted even comes back from the dead. His threats, abuse, and gaslighting behavior towards Buffy prepare us for the threats, abuse, and gaslighting that Angel will inflict on her. Buffy manages to overcome and defeat her abuser by claiming ownership of her domestic space. It's the same thing she does to Angelus in Passion, revoking his invitation. She kills Ted and tells him that this is her house. She destroys this patriarchal abuser by kicking him out of the role he assumed he was entitled to. Buffy is the head of this household, and he's no longer welcome in it. Buffy chose to hit Ted. She chose to kill him. We will get to this later with Angel.
We have more foreshadowing with Willow's story, with Buffy telling her to use her powers for good. And of course, we have foreshadowing of more robots in the Buffyverse. A question I actually have for you about Joyce. When the police show up and they're asking Joyce what happened, Joyce says that he fell down the stairs. Do you think that she was prepared to lie for Buffy?
I do. I think she was trying to protect Buffy, and then Buffy can't deal with that and doesn't want her to have to do that.
It was such a beautiful moment because on one hand, we're seeing the lengths that a mother is prepared to go for, but also the pride that she has in her daughter for accepting responsibility without hesitation.
Yes, all of what you're saying plays on Christine's face so strongly.
It's a beautiful moment.
It is. Relationships in this are all going through changes. We are examining boundaries. Jenny and Giles have been having trouble. This episode gradually brings them back together. It ends with them smooching. Buffy says she doesn't understand adults while she is continuing to become one. It's artful how Jenny and Giles' relationship is rekindled. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Art.
Art who?
R2D2. Oh. Robot mania. You know what I think we should do.
Is that your robot drone?
It sounds suspiciously like you're singing. Good idea. Oh no. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue and then we'll take it higher. All together now. Re-Vamped sing too. But that's not sing. Okay.
Down in the street there is violence, and a lot of work to be done. No place to hang out or washing, and I can't blame all on the sun. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
My mom used to sing that. It was just like,
Really?
yeah,
Aw,
I could still hear that as a kid.
I love that. That's amazing. Good call, Drusilla, then. I was trying to say that this isn't a robot song, Drew. It sounds electronica, robot-like, but it's a powerful commentary on the poverty, unemployment, and racial tensions that led to the 1981 Brixton riots in London, named after the first street in the area to get electric lights. My singing often highlights important social issues. That's one of the reasons I'm a super-duper, whooper, polydimensional, polygalactic, polyclimactic star. If you say so. That and my soulful, soothing singing. If you say so again. I think that might be debatable.
And always so humble.
Right? Exactly.
Although with the one note thing, I'm thinking maybe rap would be more your style and your genre.
Yo, yo, yo.
Okay, maybe not.
Hi, my name is Drew. Hi, my name is Drew.
Definitely not.
All right, definitely not Drew. No rapping. By the way, I was walking around. I did to Dev. Hold me, love me. So you had set to do that, like staring down the barrel, and I kept walking up to him this week going, me, love me.
Now you're going to rap it in.
I will.
My name is.
My name
First thing in the morning. My name is.
Exactly, the alarm rings. Let's discuss the relatable theme. As we've previously talked about, Dev and I both can relate to coming from abusive, suppressive parents and needing to forge our own paths. But this episode made me think of something with my ex. Drew, do you want to say it?
Spoiler alert.
Or rather,
Trigger warning.
thank you. I'm going to discuss abuse in a way that may be triggering and that parents may or may not want their youngsters to listen to. There's an aspect of how Joyce disregards Buffy that made me think about my ex-boyfriend. I'm going to call him Peter to keep his anonymity. Peter was raised by his single mom. The babysitter that she found for him started physically hurting him and sexually abusing him. Peter's behavior started to radically change, and he told his mom what was happening. She did not believe him, and she kept taking him to the babysitter for years. The physical and sexual abuse continued. In fact, it got worse and worse because the abuser, who I will call Bob, knew that he could get away with it and that it was completely unchecked. Now, Peter had been a very obedient, lovely child, so his mom's conclusion that he was lying, I can only surmise, must have been because she was overwhelmed, spread so thin, and it made it easier for her to be able to work. So instead of protecting him and taking him immediately out of harm's way, she ignored the truth because it was easier for her. It was more convenient for her. That betrayal by a parent is, in my opinion, unforgivable. It is abuse. She may not have been the one doing it, but she allowed it. She denied reality. She put him in harm's way, leaving him to be molested repeatedly. The rage and confusion that this produces is truly life-altering. I remember seeing a home movie of Peter from the time just before the abuse started, and he was tiny. He was so radiant, this bundle of joy and light. It literally felt like the frame could not contain his joy. He was running around in this little contraption that helped him stand, and he looked like he was a shooting star. It was vastly different from and completely contrasting to the photographs and videos of him afterwards, both as a child and as an adult. It completely broke my heart to see him as this tiny, open, carefree, exuberant being before the horror started. This change could have been lessened had his mom listened to him and intervened and protected him.
It's so hard to hear things like this because it could have been very different. And you wonder the actions that happen when we're little, how far reaching are those ripples?
And they're really far-reaching. And I think it's such a primal betrayal.
And this is the time when you're supposed to feel safest, and that's taken away from you.
Yeah, and to also be disregarded and not believed when you do go and say what's happening must make everything going forward so confusing.
Right from the beginning, as far as I could remember, as far as the stories about me went, I have this issue where I'll get a sense about somebody, and it's usually like one person removed, somebody around my parents, somebody around my family, a friend. It'll almost feel like a twisting of my stomach. No matter what, I can't ignore it. I can't push it down. My reaction initially was to be rude because I figured if I was rude, it would put this person off and they would distance themselves. As I got older, it went from being rude to just being downright nasty. And my mother would stop me and say, "You're embarrassing me. How can you be like this?" As I got older, I was able to verbalize it much better, similar to Buffy's position. I told her, "I understand that this is not what you'd want from your daughter, but have I been wrong about any of these people even
Right.
once?"
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't name a time that I had. We kind of still continued in that run of where she would bring somebody into our lives working on a project, or my brothers would have a friend. I would instantly, the walls would go up, the boundaries were placed, and I would go on the offensive to try to distance them from us.
But that's great. I had a similar thing, a barometer in terms of reading people. So my friends would always turn to me and be like, are they a good person? Are they not a good person? Like they would actually ask me. It almost sounds like you had it as a visceral feeling, a reading on that. I kind of learned to ignore a lot of that and then had to come back to listening to that as an adult because I was taught by my parents to disregard those instinctive feelings. And then I had to recultivate that.
I just wish that I had it more for myself. I could see further out, but when it was closer, I'm more apt to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, but working on that.
What was one of the rudest things you did?
Oh God. This was when I was very young. I think I was 3 or 4. My mom was working on a television show, and one of the people she was working with was a man named Alfredo. Just the name alone, I can't remember what this man looks like, but she would tell this story of how I was sitting in the car seat in the back of the car, and this guy was just going on and talking about himself the entire time. And we're just waiting for him. He has to finish up. He has to get out of the car, but he's still talking. My mom said out of nowhere, I rather loudly from the back seat just yelled, Alfredo, are you done yet? And he was angry and embarrassed, but there's no proper reaction to a child that age.
Yeah, you're tiny,
So,
obviously.
yeah.
You're in a car seat.
She said he was furious and got out of the car and slammed the door. Secretly, she was happy that I'd done that,
That you
but
did
at
it.
the time she had to parent. But I think that was one of the ruder moments for me.
But that's what's so great with kids is kids don't necessarily have the learned filters and stop responses that were taught later. So you just had your genuine reaction to the situation, which was that he was going on and on and on about himself. Can you imagine doing that as an adult, though?
I've wanted to do that as an adult.
We'll call it an Alfredo. What is the line of dialogue from this episode that you would get as a tattoo?
When Xander says,
I sometimes like things that are not good for me.
I think everybody can relate to that, but that's definitely something that rings true for me.
I love that one. I also had when Xander says,
Freud would have said the exact same thing, except he might not have done that little dance.
and when Ted says,
A good salesman always bounces back.
I really like that one too.
The salesman says, this robot will cut your workload by 50%.
That's not in the show.
Again, you are ruining my flow.
We didn't realize it was a joke.
You have to work on your segues.
The salesman says, this robot will cut your workload by 50%. The customer says, that's great. I'll take 2 of them. Hee.
Cute.
Let's get ready to Buffy!
If you want to be considered as a contender for this season's trivia battle, please email revampedpod@gmail.com.
Yes, be sure to include your name, where you weigh in with your number of watch-throughs, where you're located, something interesting about you, or something you think would be good to share, and
Your social media handles.
Grave Robbers from Outer Space card game is the game where you create your own B-movie and have a blast doing it.
I love my movie's title this round. The House of the Vampire Goddess and the Annihilation of the Naughty Minion.
Since I'm not your minion, I like it too. All right. My cute vampire girl attacks your aged vampire hunter. Time to make him a ghoul to serve me.
Diamonds are a ghoul's best friend.
Come on, Drew. You always drag out your turn.
I'll discard his sharp stake, but your cute vampire girl is now dust.
Not so fast. I play Hiss and Flee, so she's safely back in my hand.
Fair move. Secretly happy the vamp is okay. How many characters do you have left?
3. My prom queen, the bookish girl with no boyfriend, and the big bad wolf. Why?
Oh, plot twist. The doomsday device goes off. Everyone dies.
It's really weird, Drew. You always seem to get that one.
I did say. Annihilation of the naughty minion.
I'm not your minion.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And guess what?
What?
I win.
Again. The link so you can see how to play the game and get your own sets of cards is graverobbersgame.com. The 10% discount code for our listeners is Re-Vamped. All one word, small case, no dash as our title has. Just Re-Vamped for 10% off at graverobbersgame.com.
Enough of something extremely different.
We've talked about some of our experiences with fake blood in movies. Weather is another thing that we contend with. The first movie that I did was called Neon City. I had a lead in it, and I've talked about it before. Some of the other stars were Michael Ironside, Vanity, Lyle Alzado, and we shot for 6 weeks in Utah in the winter. It is a post-apocalyptic film, so the many feet of snow was perfect. However, I played a pampered young woman who had been away at boarding school, so while all the other actors were bundled up in snow boots, snow jackets, sweaters, scarves, gloves, pocket warmers in their pockets, my character, Twink, was in a thin blouse and leggings that had no pockets for most of the film, and it was absolutely freezing. But I think guest starring on Millennium may take the cake.
What cake?
Another coily thing, Drew.
Millennium stars Lance Henriksen and was created by X-Files creator Chris Carter. We were shooting in Vancouver in the dead of winter. My character Jeannie is 9 months pregnant, gets kidnapped. The kidnappers induce labor in a pool of water, steal my baby, and dump me on the doorstep of my home. My character is in her flimsy birthing gown, which is covered in blood. The commercial break cliffhanger is she dead or is she alive? Wardrobe had the brilliant idea, instead of darkening the blood, that they would wet the birthing gown again. So let me paint this picture. It is the middle of the night in freezing Vancouver weather. They put me in the sopping gown, barefoot, and have me lie on the glacial concrete. The problem is that I am shaking so violently that it is blowing the "is she alive?" question that is needed for the scene. So I tell the director, Tom, I think that I can control my convulsive vibrating between action and cut, and we proceed to shoot. Action, no breathing and seizing. Cut, seize. Action, no breathing and convulsing. Cut, convulse. It takes all my physical and emotional focus to control my reflexive spasming. And for some reason, they decide to do something like 20 takes. I'm not kidding. It was a miracle I didn't get pneumonia.
Oh, God, that is miserable.
But it isn't weird that you're so cold that you feel like you have no control over your body. It's vibrating and convulsing. It's to a level that you actually can't have the muscle control to. I did between action and cut, but it was really, really difficult.
It's amazing how the body works. I think that has to do with trying to keep blood circulating, like the body goes into overdrive. So it is literally trying to keep your extremities warm.
What about you?
I always feel awful whenever our actors are stuck in bad weather. No amount of undergarments really takes away that chill. I had to do a couple of projects outside in winter. Even now, we're filming outside and everyone's pointing out the amount of winter gear that you keep in your car or that you have in the trailer. Everything from electric blankets, multiple layers of gloves, warming socks, boots, snow pants. There have still been jobs like I was on Manifest and we were filming all these action sequences outside in November and December. And I remember pulling 2 pairs of gloves off and still seeing my fingers were starting to get blue. The snow pants were great for upper body, but my feet, no matter what, were still getting cold. And every night when we would finish, I would come home and no matter how tired I was or how little turnaround time I was going to get, I had to sit in the tub and defrost, bring my entire body temperature back up before I can get into bed.
Yeah. Frostbite is happening, right?
Yes. Otherwise, you climb into bed and you do that cricket grasshopper move and you're just rubbing your legs together. And it's impossible to fall asleep when you're that cold.
Yeah. And once your feet get cold, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your feet wet or cold or wet and cold is the worst.
When the weather changes, we all look at each other and go, okay, we're going to be outside. It's going to be winter. Is there going to be a warming van? Is there going to be a warming tent? And will that actually make any difference?
Yeah. And then when you're actually trying to act at the same time and do whatever is needed for the scene when all you can think about is, it's bloody freezing.
Yeah, that's why I'll stay on the other side of the camera, at least look crazy in my pile of clothes and shivering in a corner.
Well, I remember on Millennium, they couldn't even put undergarments other than, underwear, but no warmies underneath because it was so thin, the material that it was showing. So I was just in this wet, really thin gown on freezing concrete. It was mad. And they also wet my hair. I forgot about that. They wet my hair because it had been wet from the pool and it was a continuity thing. But instead of putting product that made it look wet, I was just really wet.
We did an indie where these 2 guys were hitmen and were supposed to be getting rid of a body in the water. And the warming van had to be so far away on the road because we couldn't have it in shot.
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
It's there supposedly 10 miles away.
Yeah. I'm like, just have it behind the camera or change the camera angle. There's things you can do, but no. And wardrobe had no warming coats for the actors. My brothers joke and say that I really need to clean out my car, but in moments like this, I point out to them, no, I don't. I had extra coats in the car and blankets. So I ran up to the car, grabbed everything, and just waited behind the camera. So as soon as they walked back out of the water, bundled them up, and that way they could at least start to get warm while walking back to the warming van. And again, we were shooting in November. It was snow on the ground, and having to not toss a body in the water, but walk it into the water was just stupid.
Oh my gosh. That's the other thing you made me think of. Often when it's so cold and you're given a coat or a jacket, but then you have to be careful not to mess your hair up with the coat in between. So you're trying to stay warm, but not actually mess up your hair or your makeup. So there's all these other considerations because there's not necessarily time for hair to be redressed.
Somebody was asking me that the other day. They said, in rainy scenes, are you just like, this is a nightmare? That actually no, because what it means is when I reset the hair, I'll reset from the same position, but letting nature take its course so that it still looks natural. And that way, whatever the actor wants to do in the scene isn't going to change the natural movement of the hair, whether it's wet, windy, whatever. Just having the same starting point is always best.
That was another thing on Millennium. It was one of the first times that I shot in Vancouver, and I didn't realize, because I hadn't been there before, that they just kept shooting all the exteriors. There was no cover set. So when it was pouring rain, we just were working outside in the pouring rain. And so I was pregnant and bound and in pouring rain and going through all this stuff. Because the whole sequences before they induce labor, they carry me through these exterior places on a gurney. And it was crazy because it just was completely being rained on and all of that, which is very different than often they say, oh, there's a cover set, we're doing the interior stay. But you couldn't do that in Vancouver because it rains so much. And it worked. It actually, in the episode, it looked really cool. It was very moody and scary and gray, and the rain actually added an element, but it wasn't necessarily easy to shoot in.
No, I love watching something later on, and I'm like, you see that tree there? Our tent was right next to it.
Yeah. I know, you always see those things still.
Interview with the vampire. This evening's vampire question.
Yes, mister.
In a world where vampires exist, what other creatures would be out there?
Why not have them all? Fairies, fae,
Mm-hmm.
shapeshifters, werewolves,
Mm-hmm.
were other animals,
Mm-hmm.
witches,
Mm-hmm.
warlocks,
Mm-hmm.
demons,
Yeah.
zombies,
Ooh, interesting.
ghosts would be cool, spirits, mummies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dragons.
Oh, that would be amazing.
What about you?
I completely agree with everything. So my only holdout has been Bigfoot. For some reason, I have been holding out on Bigfoot. I recently met a woman who told me about her own personal experience with a Bigfoot, with a Yeti in China. And as she described it to me, and then her neighbor also saw one, I'm now starting to
Reconsider.
maybe reconsidered and added to the list. But I agree with you on this.
With all those, vampires are still at the top of the food chain.
Some of those are pretty badass.
My ass is terrible.
When you say it like that, it doesn't sound like a compliment.
As you know, my actual ass is superb.
There you go with that humility.
Drumility.
Can you picture Drew riding on a dragon?
Oh, I would love that. That would be amazing.
There's a suggestion for some fan art that we'd love to see.
Yeah, and Bigfoot. What about Bigfoot and Drew? I could put my foot in front of Bigfoot's.
I'm just picturing the two of them waltzing now.
They could do-si-do.
Drew's foot and Bigfoot in a beautiful gliding dance. I could see that. Insert foot fun here.
You really put your foot in it. What do they call Bigfoot in the UK?
What?
Big meter. He. What do you call Bigfoot playing guitar?
I don't know.
Yeti Van Halen. He.
Revamptees, please correspond with me. I want to say something before we go. Yes?
Little fish don't like swimming in the clouds.
Thank you for that insight, Drusilla. Revamptees, please correspond with me on our Patreon page, Revamped with Juliet Landau, on Twitter @JulietLandau, on Instagram @Juliet_Landau, and on the Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. Patreon peeps to be read in the credits: Dave Hall, Fawny June Kendall, Daniel Harbour, Louise Brennan, Brandon Key, Cameron Burton, Donnie Ruskin, Madeline Pruitt, Marion Stevenson, Antonio H. Gutierrez, and Bobby Pelham. It makes all the difference because we cannot keep making the show without you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Until we meet again.
Yes. See you next time when we
Do it again. Do it again.
Until then, rewatch, revamp, reinvent, and be remarkable you.